Hello, and welcome to episode 4 of our Haven Caveblock Reborn Modpack playthrough adventure. That intro never gets easier. Anyways, without further ado, hope you're all having a swell and well day so far. We're gonna go ahead and dive into another episode. So, I've tried not to make too much progress in between episodes, but of course, y'all know that if I make no progress, that will be on this mod pack for months. And yeah, it's just not something I really want to do. So, we have a new setup over here, something that I tried new here, and yeah, the old one. Outside of that, we have a new storage system, which may look similar, but trust me, this is not AE2, this is not refined storage. This is Tom's simple storage mod, and of course, we'll get into how this all works. And then a couple of the little smaller things. So I had somebody point out that we actually did have enough uranium nuggets last episode to go ahead and make a uranium block, which is of course a 6x fuel source for the porcelain crucible. So you can see here it's filling up a lot faster than it was previously. That being said, this whole little setup here is actually just for making obsidian. So I'll break this cobble real quick. You can see we have a pipe coming out of the tank. Essentially all you do is open this bad boy up, make sure you have the top surrounded, and place some water right here on top, and this will give you obsidian really fast, really quickly, because it's just going to pull it straight out the tank and push it straight into your chest. So if you ever need obsidian for anything, this is a really fast, really simple, really early way of getting obsidian without having to have a diamond pickaxe to break it, and without having to place it in the world and then wait a minute to break a piece of obsidian, because this just, it gives it to you immediately, right? Anyway, so that's one system that got set up. I did sort of redecorate this room. Its functionality is exactly the same, but just looks a little bit better now. And outside of that, I think that's it. That's all that I've done. Oh, well, I did take the botany pot that was making moss, and I moved it over here because obviously we got enough moss to finish this room. And that was really all I was trying to do. So now just full speed ahead on pumping out oak wood and maybe some apples. Anyways, let's move on down here into the new system setup, whatever you want to call it. So, as I said, it's either the mid or towards the end of the last episode, I wanted to get some way of taking the cobblestone from these generators and turning them into the, well, y'all know, the three base resources that come after cobblestone in most of these stone block and sky block type packs. So we have gravel, we have sand, and we have dust. And pretty much just as you would imagine, gravel comes from cobblestone, sand comes from gravel, and of course, dust comes from sand. Now you'll notice with all of these recipes, I'm actually using the millstone, not the crushing wheel. That's because you can use the tiny millstone. You don't have to go all the way up to the big, complicated, and complex crushing wheel. I've also done mostly just design stuff in between episodes, trying to make sure the base looks good and that we can kind of progress forwardly without destroying our inner structure too much. So this is our little service tunnel here. If I come in here, this is all the backwork mechanism of how we're producing this. So I'm actually going to run this through the same way that I set it up, though it may be counterintuitive given typically you start with a power source. But I want to make this point of sometimes you're trying to have your end location for an automation setup be in a specific location. For example, I knew these generators, I wanted to have flush with this wall. I knew that the drawers I wanted to have directly underneath the generators. And I knew I wanted them to be spaced out a little bit. So with all that in mind, I already knew what this front structure here was going to look like, and so I just went ahead and placed it in, and then I actually built this whole contraption from the front back, because again, I knew where I wanted to end, but I didn't know how many blocks distance it would take to get there. So I started at the beginning, and then I worked my way back, as opposed to making the power source and then bringing it forward until I was like, and we stop here. You know, because that'd be a hard thing to calculate. Like, oh, I need 4 water wheels, and then I want to speed it up 1, 2, 3, 4 times, and so on and so forth. So let's take a look what we have here. And I think the easiest example is going to be this first one, with it being gravel. So we have our cobblestone generator. Gravel's being pulled out from an item pipe, goes straight into a millstone, pulled out from the millstone, and right back into the drawer. And that's it. Out. Millstone. Back in. Now, the way that we have these all turning is because millstones, and actually I believe it's sifters as well, pretty much if you see a gear on a piece of create equipment, you can turn it. Okay, so if you want to turn things side by side. Now, in our initial setup over here, we actually didn't want to... Like, theoretically, we could have placed these sifters beside the millstone up top, and it would have had the same effect. However, I was trying to stay within this limited space here, so I wanted to go up and down. So that is a good thing to note. I didn't do it here where I had the sifter powering the millstone, but we certainly could have if we wanted to. If we wanted to just do that whole setup sideways, right? It would have made things less complicated, but it's not the aesthetics that I wanted, right? So in order to get sand, can't really hop in there, but essentially it's the same thing, right? So it comes out from the cobblestone generator, goes into one millstone, and as you can see up at the top there, this millstone turns cobblestone into gravel, comes out from that millstone and into another one, which turns the gravel into sand, and then you guessed it, that bottom one is just shipping the sand right back in. So, and then of course that last one is dust, and it's literally the, well, goodness me, literally the exact same concept as the other two, except it has 3. So you have gravel, sand, dust. And these are just kind of coming over into the wall, but there really wasn't a better place to put it if I wanted to have my setup this compact. So the way that we're powering all 3 of these at the same time is we have a set of small cogwheels, or regular cogwheels, whatever you want to call them, basically all turning, and these all, you know, obviously convey the rotational force equally. And we have a large cogwheel that is being powered from another large cogwheel from the same mechanics as the other farm, right? So we just have these at a 90-degree angle in order to transfer the source of the turn, or the direction of the turn, so to speak. Now you can also use a gearbox, right? So these little things from Create. My big problem is this gearbox cost 1, 2, 3, 4 cogwheels and an andesite casing, to whereas a large cogwheel cost 1 plus a piece of wood. So like, even to do this one, it's only 2 cogwheels and 2 planks. It's just a bit cheaper. Now, the annoying thing is it's not done over the same space, right? Because obviously a cogwheel happens in a 1 block space. So if you need that, use a cogwheel, or a gearbox, I mean. But if you don't, this is a good, cheaper way of turning your power. So from this, we basically just sped the thing up as much as we could, right? You see how this first gear here is moving demonstrably faster than this this back one? It's because we just kept speeding it up. So the way, or rather the mechanics of how this looks is kind of like this right here, which is just very easily repeatable. Sorry. So for this portion, I think it's actually easier if I start here and move forward, because it's easier to show how something speeds up than how it slows down going in a process, I think. So we have 4 large water wheels back here, and that's basically just to make sure that we can handle the stress impact of having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 machines set up on the same thing. And then, of course, increasing the speed, because the higher the speed your machines are going, the higher the stress impact. So you can think about it this way. If this machine was going incredibly slow, it might have a stress impact of 4. And you can actually read this on the machine. Let's see here. Actually, you know what? There's a sifter. Or you can't read it on the machine. Okay, there you go. For this encased fan, you can see kinetic stress impact low. Now, as far as how much that number actually means, it beats the hell out of me. But if you were to spin this fan faster, then theoretically it could hit a kinetic stress impact of medium if you're just spinning the hell out of it. I'm not sure if it ever actually goes up to medium. This is just a poor example. So the kinetic stress impact is what it is, but as you speed it up, it increases because you're needing to spin it faster or more times within a shorter period of time. So the stress on the machine is higher, right, as it would be in real life. So a good way to counteract this is to just have more things powering it. So coming out of the water wheels, we have a large cogwheel to a small cogwheel, as I explained in, was it the second episode? Basically, this increases speed. So it's hard to tell from here to here because they're both spinning so slowly. But if you pull out from the small one, which has the increased speed, right? If you were to pull out from the large one, you're getting the same as the original speed. So you have to pull out from the small one because it is now spinning faster, technically. Which means this large cogwheel is actually spinning faster than this one. Now, of course, since the second one is spinning faster than the first one, then the second small cogwheel is also going to spin faster than the first, right? So basically, each time we want to speed this up, we just pull the rotational force out, send it to a large cogwheel, have that meet a small cogwheel, and then send that forward into a large, which goes back into a small. And as you can see by the end result, you have a small cogwheel that is really hauling ass comparative to what you had before. Now, there are other ways to speed up rotational speed in Create, but we are a ways off from that. And once we get that ability, yeah, I'll probably go ahead and make the swap because obviously this is a very long process here just to speed up our rotation. But it works, exceptionally well. Now you say, Chance, why do you need to speed up the rotation on your machines? And I'll say, technically you don't have to, but if this was spinning slower, it would take longer to produce gravel. And so if I go ahead and right click and take all the gravel out, you can see roughly how fast this thing works. So there you go. It's not slow at all. It's like one piece of gravel every second, maybe 2 seconds tops. So that's pretty good. But if we were to slow this down, it takes quite a while. So yeah, that's basically the entire setup. And it looks complicated when you're on the outside looking back, because you're like, oh, I don't know, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things spinning in this one little block view that I have right here. So I get it. It can be complicated, complex, and even a bit dismaying to just kind of see this and be like, oh, I have to do that? No, I don't think I'm going to be the type to do that. Especially not if you put something like this next to like a thermal or a mechanism grinder, right? You're like, oh, this machine does all of that in this one block space. It just, I get it. It can be overwhelming. All right, so moving on from our resource production. And if you're wondering why, Chance, why do this? Well, it's because gravel, sand, and dust actually all have different results when you sift them. So if we click on gravel here and we go to sifting, we are at the andesite mesh, so we can get some iron and copper and zinc and aluminum, uranium, mini coal, diamond, emerald, raw uranite, nickel dust, and some flint. However, if we come take a look at sand, and we go back to the sifter, andesite. You can see from this we get silver, nickel, osmium, and tin. So there's a little bit of overlay with the nickel, but honestly, it's like this is where you're getting your thermal. This is where you're getting your mechanism type resources from. And then, of course, as we go on to dust, we come to sifting. This is where we get some more lead, apparently. Did we get lead before, or is this really the first opportunity to get lead? Anyways, some redstone, lapis, bone meal, certs quartz, really important. That's going to be used for applied energistics if we choose to go that route. Of course, refined storage is in the mod pack as well, but the last mod pack that we did that was refined storage and applied energistics base, we went with refined storage, of course, that being in Project Architect 2. So maybe we have a predisposition. Certs quartz is really simple to get in this mod pack, with it just being a dust sifted recipe. So, you know, who knows? We'll see. So yeah, that's kind of why you're going to want these 3 resources on heavy supply. Now, that being said, if you're a smart man or a woman or general Minecraft player, who's to say you're not a dog or a fox or a wolf or a, you know, I mean, just stop there. Anyways, you would just send this result straight into a sifter, right? And that's what we'll eventually get around to. But for me personally, mod packs can be a bit like an existential crisis. Which sounds a bit heavy, but whenever you go into your first mod pack and you start playing through it and you're like, wow, this is really fun. I like progressing and I like automation and it seems cool. And you get to the end, you're like, wait a minute, what was I doing all that for? Oh, just to do it all faster? I was literally, I made that machine to make another machine to make another machine that made the first process faster. So yeah, okay, it's useless. It's all pointless. That being said, my favorite thing about being in a mod pack is showing the process, showing my thoughts in a physical world space and in an aesthetically pleasing manner. So some things may be pointless, like maybe we didn't need to have this go into a drawer. Maybe we could have just sent it straight into a sifter that we're also powering down here. For example, if I was to put a bunch of sifters along this side here, then I could literally just pipe down from the millstone into the sifter and send the results forward into some chests, right? And maybe that's how we change and adapt it in the future. But I'm not at that point right now. I wanted to demonstrate each resource being made, and then yeah, we can go back and tweak the machine in the future. So, moving on to Tom's Simple Storage mod. If you come in here and you go at Tom's, you'll see it's not a very big mod, and the at TOM is basically just searching for this specific mod. It's at whatever mod. So if I did at chipped, there's everything from chipped. So at Tom, it's everything from Tom's storage mod. And yeah, there's not a whole lot in here. I will say I don't believe the wireless terminal or the advanced wireless terminal actually have recipes, which of course would probably be done on purpose, kind of forcing you to move on into refined storage. Because if you don't have this, then yeah, why would you change your storage system over? Because obviously this one's not perfect, but it does allow me to store within a storage drawer. It does allow me to store within a storage drawer system as well as in chest. So theoretically, you don't really need any other type of storage mod after this for, you know, this kind of setup. But if you want to access it wirelessly, which of course we're going to want to, then we will. So the way this all works, and I'm just going to explain my system, and then any blocks in here that maybe aren't used, we'll go back and explain individually. Okay. Also, I'd like to go ahead and apologize for all the cuts that are going to be in this video, as some of you may have saw yesterday. I ended up getting a little bit sick. Well, as I described it yesterday, sick as a dog, because yesterday morning when I woke up, I was probably the worst of it, but I wasn't ill. There was no, you know, how do I say this and not trigger anybody? I mean, whatever, we'll just be blunt with it. There was no throwing up. initially. It was just like an upset stomach, so I had some nausea, headache, runny nose, like all the works. But by the afternoon time, I was kind of over it. It was like, okay, this is nice. I still have the runny nose and still have some congestion, but I'll take that like literally 1,000 times to 1 to nausea, because I'm just a big old baby. Point being, though, of course, it means that I can't breathe using both my mouth and my nose right now. I just have my mouth. And if I'm talking out of my mouth, then I'm probably not keeping my breathing rhythm, you know, as it should be. So if there's a lot of cuts, it's because I'm talking, and then I'm like, oh shit, yeah, I gotta breathe. Anyways, Tom's simple storage mod. Let's get into what we're actually looking at here. So the first thing that we kind of interact with in the world, the first thing that you, the audience, sees is this crafting terminal. And this is, I mean, this is the bread and butter of what we like about these storage mods, right? This is what allows you to see all of your materials in one place, as well as pull from it to craft with. So if I wanted to make a water wheel, boom. Where do those resources come from? Well, down below in all those several chests that you saw, right? This is the beast of it. This is where everything is. So you'll see here we have 23 granite. If I pop back up top here, type in granite, we have 23. If I pull this out, pop back down below, voila, the granite is gone. And vice versa, if I put this granite in here and you know what, let's throw some item pipes too. Pop back up top, granite back inside, and item pipes are right there. So basically this is just a really good, convenient, clean, simple starter way to get access to this style of recipe crafting, which of course everyone prefers this to what I was doing in the first 3 episodes, which was, oh, do I have it in here? No? Okay, well, let me run to this other chest. Do I have it in here? No? Okay, well, let me run to this other chest. You know, obviously that gets a bit old, it gets tiresome, it gets tedious. So the way this storage mod works, crafting terminal, this is your access point, right? This is your eyes in. So this is the only one. It's not like I think it's a platinum-energistic. Maybe it's refined. Where basically you have a large version and a small version. This, you just have the crafting terminal. This is it, and it's really simple to make once you have your automation up and going. So this is going to take some diamonds, some crafting tables, and a storage terminal. Now the storage terminal does everything the crafting terminal does, kinda, because you just can't craft with it. You can see all your items, you can pull all your items out, but it won't have this little crafting grid right here. It's just for inserting and pulling out. That's it. So if you want to make a storage terminal, by all means, you can click on that and, you know, throw together whatever you need. Here we would need 2 more crafting tables. So there we go. There's a storage terminal. Do we need this? Absolutely not. Do I recommend you do this? Absolutely not. But there you go. So it's literally a complete waste on its own, in my opinion. And you know, the worst part is I don't think it turns into anything else. We literally just made this storage terminal for the sake of showing it off. Anyways, well, that's weird. So it's not actually getting the connection on the back here. Must be a bug within the mod itself. Anyways, then from our crafting terminal, we have an inventory cable connector. And you know what? I don't know if this is actually required. I have an idea. Let's break this whole thing right here. Okay. Well, maybe I shouldn't have done that because now I don't have access to anything in the system. So let's get inventory cable. Do I already have some? I do. Can I break this and replace it with normal inventory cable and have this work? Oh, that doesn't look like it. No. Okay. All right. So I was right in thinking how I had this set up. I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't like overcomplicating it for you, the audience. So we have this inventory cable connector that is connected to the crafting terminal. And if you read on it, it says, hold shift, inventory network connects the inventory to the inventory network, or gives access to the network, Required to connect terminals. Place it on a level 1 beacon to make an inventory link accessible from anywhere in the same dimension. Place it on a level 2 beacon to make an inventory link accessible from anywhere across dimensions. Now, the reason it says that is obviously it's talking about the wireless terminals here. But since we don't have access to those, you can just ignore that whole portion about the beacons. So what it says is gives access to the network, required to connect terminals, which of course we have a terminal right here, a crafting terminal. So that's kind of why we need it. And again, this is pretty simple. Nether quartz, which we've already been into. Ender pearl, this one's kind of a new one, but you can get an ender pearl from haunting a slime ball. So not the end of the world there. 25% chance, but again, not too shabby. What's an open converts a block in front of it into an inventory? Interesting. I didn't know that. Anyways, so yes, that's it. That's how you can get access to everything in your network. Inventory cable connector, crafting terminal. And then the way that you actually build, sorry. I stutter sometimes whenever I'm like, okay, use this word. And then my brain's like, wait, do you really mean that word? Yeah, anyways. So inventory cables, these are the wiring systems for everything, and that's why we have this kind of going down into the ground. This may be confusing, but this is actually an elevator. So if I stand on this block and I hit shift, boop, we go down. See? And so these are really nifty blocks that I feel like not a whole lot of people in the modding community talk about because they've been around since, I mean, really, I think scientists were finding these elevators back with the dinosaurs, and then it kind of got adapted into Minecraft when Minecraft came along. That's a joke. It's just a bit dry. Minecraft elevators have been around for a very long time, and they've always worked the exact same way. And I'm pretty sure the recipe's always been pretty much the same too, unless someone goes in and says they want to custom change it. So it's just wool around an ender pearl. Of course, you can get wool from string. So that's not that difficult. You can get it from the trees, as we did in the early game, or you can buy some flax seed from your main man over at the market, and this also turns into string. I think it's like, yeah, 1 piece of flax to 1 string. I hear fire. Oh, you know what? It's probably my haunting setup, though. Okay, so cables connect to your network. Now, what actually defines which chests are in the network? Great question. Great question. So we have this inventory connector. If we come back into our little selection here, inventory connector connects all of the touching inventories into one. Use the storage terminal to access all of your items, or the crafting terminal to access all of your items and craft with. Trims can connect the gaps. So this is the inventory trim right here, which is kind of just a solid block. So what this inventory connector does is every inventory that's connected to it that connects to another inventory is going to be added. So for example, in this inventory connector, we have a chest here, and a storage controller, right, from functional storage here. Technically, we could have more chests out the back here, and so on and so forth. This chest, obviously not connected to the inventory connector, however, because it's touching this initial one, does get added. And that's how all of these chests are essentially being added in, right? Because this one's touching in, and then this one touches that one, this one touches that one, and so on and so forth. So as long as the inventories are physically touching in world, they'll be added to your storage space, for lack of better wording. So, you know, we can see our items actually physically fill up. And if you ever want to know how many slots you have left, right click and it says 627 slots free of 878. So we still have a ton of spaces within these chests, and we could actually upgrade these chests. So if you'll remember, oh, well, it's probably gone now. If you'll remember from Sophisticated Storage, we actually have these 2 oak iron chests. So right now it says we have 878 slots. If I was to throw this here, now we have 1,094 because we just added all of these slots. So it does work with Sophisticated Storage, and it would behoove you to upgrade all of your chests as quickly as possible, because obviously this is a lot more space compared to this, and this can be upgraded with stack upgrades, right, from Sophisticated Storage, which just allows you to stack more than 64 items in one specific slot. So if we had a stack upgrade in here, just like the basic tier 1, we could put, 94 logs in one spot, which really saves a lot of inventory space, obviously allows you to store a bit more, and so on and so forth. So that's how all of these chests are connected, just by one of them touching the inventory connector. Now, let's say you want your chest to be set up in more of like an L shape, right? So let's get some chests here. Now let's get a couple more. And then let's also come back to @Tom's, and we'll just go ahead and show you this as per an example. So all of these chests are connected, but let's say there's a chest over here that I wanted connected as well, but I didn't want to have to put a chest right here to connect into the rest for whatever reason. Well, you can also use this inventory trim. The way this inventory trim works is very much like a chest, except you can't store anything inside of it. It just connects this chest to this one. So now if I was to put my item pipes in here, come back up top, there they are, right? Now that being said, let's put them back in here. If I break this inventory trim, notice this chest is not connected to any of the rest in the system. And so if I type in item, it's no longer there. So obviously, inventory trim is just a way of expanding your inventory without having to actually add a chest. Obviously, if this was like way over here, we could just keep adding inventory trim until we got over there instead of having to have a line or a wall of chests. And typically it's used for like a turning situation, right? So it'd be like if I wanted to, have a chest go this way and then wanted to turn and have chests go that way. For us, it doesn't really matter right now. Like if anything, I'm just going to literally stack them on top of each other to be all the way up to the ceiling, and then we can also upgrade them. So it's like we have the potential for how much storage we could have within this little space here is actually kind of insane. Okay, now the way that this interacts with a storage controller. Some of you may know, some of you may not. The storage controller is actually like, I think the best way for me to put this is, it is a chest that contains all items within your storage drawer network. Okay, so this, although we can't pull out from it using our hands, right? I can't just pop this bad boy open, even if I shift right click and rummage through, get the diamond dust and pull it out. However, this inventory connector can. So you'll see here we have 524 iron dust. If I come up top, 524 iron dust. Now, that's because this storage drawer, like I said, has access to all of these drawers over here. Now, in order to make sure that it's working properly, you are going to need these two modules. You'll need the configuration tool and the linking tool. The linking tool, you simply shift right click. It'll say controller configured to the tool. You'll notice I have this kind of barrier out here just telling me the outside limits, the outside reaches of this drawer controller, whatever, storage controller. And then, you just right click and right click, and it's going to link all the drawers in. Now there are different modes to this, so if you're just looking out into the air, you're standing straight up and you right click, it'll swap between the remove action and the add action, right? So that's just saying whether you want to add it to the storage controller or remove it. Pretty simple. You can also hold shift and right click, and this is going to swap between the modes. So single mode, multiple mode, single mode, multiple mode. It does exactly what you think. So I could go single mode, remove, right click this drawer, and now it's no longer part of this controller. So if I was to put bread in here, Pop back up top, type in bread. Nope. I mean, we have 6 pieces, but that's obviously not the 41 that we just threw in. That's like 6 pieces that I threw in earlier and is somewhere lingering. There it is, right? So that's how that works. And sometimes if you're not seeing something in the system, maybe you just never added it to the drawer. That is the controller. It's a very big possibility. Alrighty. We are going to have to wrap this up soon because my voice is going and it's going fast. So let's add that back in. Give me my bread. Okay. Well, you know what? Let's remove. Now this is actually a good opportunity to talk about the configuration tool. So similarly, you can right click it as you're shifting to change what it does. So this is going to swap it to locking. So you'll notice there's a lock up top. And basically that just means if I was to pull, how about that? If I was to pull everything out from the system, so let's throw all of our bread in. If I go down here and I say, where's how much, oh wait, did I ever add it back to the system? I did not. There. If I was to go up to our system and say, I want some bread, give me all of it, it's going to pull it out, but it's going to leave the bread as a placeholder in this drawer and just tell me that I have 0. If this was unlocked, which I'm not going to do because it'll start filling with other materials, which I'll get into why here in just a minute, then yeah, this is a good way of like holding it, right? So that way I'm not going to misplace it somewhere else. It's not going to get used up this, that, or the other. And if you ever want to interact with this thing, you can remove it from your system, of course, unlock it, take everything out, relock it, and then add it back into your system. And that way random stuff doesn't start filling it up. So that's pretty much it. The storage controller can be piped into, it can be piped out of. You know, you really just need to tell the system what you're trying to pull in or pull out or push in. I mean, push in, you just got to have a placeholder. So you'll notice everything over here on this wall. This is kind of what we get from sifting gravel, right? This is like everything that we get from sifting just gravel in general. And that is because this first setup, I have it set to just be fully automated and 1000% never ending. So we have a basic wooden cobblestone generator up here, which as you can see is more than enough to actually keep this system running, especially with how quickly it goes. That cobblestone goes into a millstone, just like over there. The millstone turns it into gravel. The gravel is sent into a sifter, and the sifter sifts it and puts it into a chest. But this chest doesn't have any items in it. Well, we clearly see the gravel being shoved down into this tiny chest. So where is it all going? Excellent question. And the answer is right back into our storage system, right? That's how we have the iron dust, the diamond dust, the emerald dust, yada, yada, yada. So if we come on down here, you'll notice we have these inventory cables, but one comes over here. So this is what is actually connecting this into our system. Let's pop up top here. Not with the inventory trim. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Maybe one more. Okay. So if we take a look here, we just simply have a basic inventory hopper. What this does is if you look at the actual description at Tom, it literally says import or export from your inventory network, right click an item to set the filter, shift click with an empty hand to clear the filter. We're not trying to export from the system, but rather into. So the way this works is we have the hopper going into a cable. If we were trying to pull out of the system, I would have a cable going into a hopper, going into a machine or a chest or, whatever the hell I'm trying to fill up. So that's pretty much it there because this hopper is just directly on top of the chest. Or directly under that same chest. And if we pop back up top here, boop, 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 you can see that is the case. So yeah, everything just, oh, that was a good example. The little mini coal coming in here. Everything just comes into this chest and then immediately goes down into the drawer system. And hence why we have the drawer system, right? Because this drawer right here is holding 546 iron dust, right? If I was to pull all this out, it's going to be several stacks of 64, right? That's 5 stacks of 64, which means if I throw it over here in this chest, well, that's a lot of inventory space that could otherwise be used on something else. So that's where drawers kind of come in big handy, is storing a lot of one singular item without having to fill up 11 million chests. So yeah, everything basically just comes straight back into our storage system. And then this inventory connector says, okay, find me where I have more of that item. So we have more over here. It's going to send it over here. That being said, let's say, I mean, kind of like the bread incident. Let's say I have bread here and I have bread. Well, hell, I guess it got taken. Let's say I have some bread pre-existing in this drawer, but then I also have some over here in this chest. So now I have bread in 2 places in the inventory system. I'm not sure how it prioritizes because you can't actually set a priority method off this inventory connector. So maybe it's closest first, who knows. But let's say I have those 2 sources of bread, right? Now, whenever I look into my system, it's going to tell us we have 40. Cool. So it's going to go ahead and add them together. 33 plus 7. Now, if I was to add this bread back into my system just by throwing it in there, it goes up to 46. Cool. But did it actually go up over here? Oh, yeah, it did. Okay. Well, I guess a better example maybe is if I transfer it here. So let's put the bread a little bit, oh, no. Let's put it a little bit closer to the actual inventory connector. So we'll throw it right here. And again, this may be a niche instance, but it's something that you may not be looking out for. So it could, of course, mess you up. So let's take some bread out here and let's try it again. But this time, remember, our second source of bread is technically closer to the connector. So if I throw this in here, does it go back to the storage drawer? No. Oh, no. Why not? Well, we already have it in the system and it found this bread stack before it ever found this one. So it never had a need to put it here because it found this stack, said, okay, it's not full, throw it all in. So just be mindful of that if you're like, oh, my drawers aren't filling up. More than likely, it means you have another piece of that item or object somewhere else in your system. Alrighty. So with those 2 being explained, well, I'm not going to lie, I had planned on doing more for today, but my throat is honestly, it is killing me after having recorded this 45 minutes. So we're just going to real quick go through the design theory of the hallway, and then we'll probably call it. So real quick, we have framed panels. That's how we have this sort of half block coming in here. And chipped. That's primarily making up everything in this hallway that you see that looks new, unique, or interesting. So the way this works, the way this mod works, the chipped mod allows you to turn blocks into a different aesthetic piece. So we have cobblestone here. We all know what it looks like. However, if I go throw it into the mason table, then you can see we can have it turn into bricks or all kinds of different materials, right? Now, it doesn't actually change how cobblestone's used, but it does change the look and, of course, give you many options when it comes to base building and just changing up the look of things. So I've always been a fan of chipped or chiseled or whatever you want to call it. And chisel is also in this mod pack, so this is pretty cheap here. 1 iron ingot, 1 stick. And basically you just right click, put the cobblestone in. And what I like to do is go to the 3x3 wall. And then you can sort of turn on connected textures and see what all, you're kind of working with here. So if you didn't know, that's how you can get some really cool and unique textures to go inside your base. And then the framed panels and the framed slab edges and all this kind of stuff is how we're getting the unique shapes. So if you go at framed, you'll see they kind of look like a blueprint for a block, kind of like some scaffolding. And that's obviously on purpose. So whenever you place down one of these framed blocks, it's gonna look transparent. It's gonna look see-through. But what this allows you to do is literally camouflage this framed block as any other block. So now you can do gravel slabs, half slabs that stand up, quarter slabs that are literally just some trim pieces, and of course some full blocks, which, you know, works normal. So that's really it. Oh, make sure with the chisel mod you take your stuff out of it, or otherwise it will remain in the chisel mod. So that's pretty much it. You can break this, and of course you get your gravel back, you get your framed block back, and yeah, that's how we've done all of this. These are framed panels, so basically I just cleared out the wall and then came in with these like vertical half slabs, boom, boom, boom. And then you can see you can kind of give yourself this little indentation, if you will. So yeah, we are going to call it there because yeah, my throat is still in a lot of pain. But I do want to show you this last thing, and that is how to automate witch water. Because if you just try to put lava directly into the stone barrel, it's actually going to turn out pretty poorly. However, if you put lava above the barrel, it does work. And I can automate this using modular routers. I'm not going to go through the actual process of how in this video, but for anyone that knows modular routers or wants to look into it, in case you're like, I really need to know how to automate Netherrack, but this son of a gun's putting out a video once every, 30 days or some shit. So what you can do is you can take the lava, place it up top, and obviously you see there it's going to consume the lava, it's going to pop out the Netherrack, but it is going to automate it. So we have a modular router right here with an activator module on the front and the back, and essentially it's just going to take a bucket of water, fill up the lava, and then place it forward. And again, you don't want to do this directly into the barrel like I have here. What you would want to do is move this modular router up one. So like this. Place that down. Place that down. Let me make sure I can get this. Is that completely backwards? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But throw in a bucket. Boom. See? Now, the problem is it's not moving as fast as the witch water, so obviously you would want to slow it down somehow. Redstone repeaters, whatever. Just make sure you're not sending lava bucket after lava bucket into a source that already has lava there. So, yeah, and then obviously this just turns into Netherrack as this turns into witch water. So once this fills up with witch water, oh, you know what? Yeah, this is just producing stone. So you will need this to fill up with water, wait for it to progress, and then place the lava down, which obviously that's just a timing thing with the modular router. Excuse me. So that's a bit easier to do, and here's the redstone controls if you want to change that, whatever. But yeah, we are going to call it on this video. I do apologize for being sick and having some delays and some shorter episodes. Hope you will forgive me. Hope this was still informational. Hope you learned something, and I hope you're enjoying the mod pack as much as I am. Thanks everybody for watching. I appreciate your understanding and everything, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. So, as per the usual, be sure to leave a like down below if you did enjoy the video. Comment in the comment section if you have any questions, tips, tricks, tidbits, or anything else that you may want to share or be inquisitive about. Excuse me. Subscribe if you're new here and you want to see more awesome content from yours truly. Share this video out with friends, family, strangers down the street, and random people you might meet. Of course, I do hope you all stay safe, stay awesome, and stay crafting. Until next time, you beautiful, beautiful people, peace out.